Hamlet by William Shakespeare. In the cold, fog-shrouded castle of Elsinore, Denmark, a young prince named Hamlet paced the battlements, his mind a storm of grief and doubt. It was the winter of an uncertain year, not long after the death of King Hamlet, his father, a warrior revered for his strength and wisdom. The kingdom mourned, but none more than Hamlet, a scholar of Wittenberg, whose black mourning cloak mirrored the darkness in his heart. His mother, Queen Gertrude, had swiftly remarried Claudius, the late king's brother, a man of smiles and cunning words. Hamlet despised the union, seeing it as a betrayal of his father's memory. "Frailty, thy name is woman," he muttered, his breath clouding in the icy air. One midnight, the castle guards, Marcellus and Bernardo, summoned Hamlet to the ramparts, their faces pale with fear. They spoke of a ghost, a specter in the likeness of the dead king, haunting the battlements. Hamlet followed, his pulse quickening, and there, amidst the mist, stood the armored figure of his father, its eyes hollow yet piercing. "I am thy father's spirit," it said, its voice a chilling echo. "Murder most foul has taken me. Claudius, that incestuous beast, poured poison in mine ear as I slept. Avenge me, Hamlet, but spare thy mother's soul." The ghost vanished, leaving Hamlet trembling, his world upended. "O villain, villain, smiling, damned villain," he swore, vowing to dedicate his life to revenge. But doubt gnawed at him. Was the ghost true, or a devil's trick? Hamlet resolved to uncover Claudius's guilt, but caution stayed his hand. To mask his intent, he adopted a guise of madness, wandering Elsinore with wild eyes and cryptic words. He wore disheveled clothes, spoke in riddles, and shunned company, alarming the court. Polonius, the king's verbose counselor, believed Hamlet's madness stemmed from love for his daughter, Ophelia, a gentle maiden who had once shared tender moments with the prince. Claudius and Gertrude, uneasy, summoned Hamlet's old friends, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, to spy on him, but Hamlet saw through their flattery, calling them sponges soaking up the king's favor. Ophelia, torn between love and duty, met Hamlet at her father's urging. He confronted her in a corridor, his words sharp and strange. "Get thee to a nunnery. Why wouldst thou be a breeder of sinners?" His rejection cut her deeply, and she wept, believing his love lost to madness. Hamlet, though, was torn. His harshness shielded her from his dangerous path, yet his heart ached for her purity. Polonius, eavesdropping, reported to Claudius, who grew warier of his nephew's antic disposition. Hamlet devised a plan to test the ghost's tale. A troupe of traveling players arrived at Elsinore, and he bid them perform the murder of Gonzago, a play mirroring Claudius's crime, with added lines to prick the king's conscience. "The play's the thing wherein I'll catch the conscience of the king," he said, his eyes alight with purpose. At the performance, the court gathered, Claudius and Gertrude at the center. As the player-king was poisoned by his brother, Claudius rose, pale and trembling, and fled the hall. Hamlet's doubt vanished. His uncle was guilty. Gertrude, shaken, sensed her son's accusation but clung to her new husband. Hamlet's resolve hardened, but his soul wrestled with action. In his chamber, he mused on life and death. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles. His fear of the unknown, of what dreams might come in death's sleep, paralyzed him. Why kill Claudius, only to damn his own soul? Yet the ghost's command burned within him. Gertrude summoned Hamlet to her closet, seeking to understand his madness. Polonius, ever meddling, hid behind a tapestry to eavesdrop. Hamlet arrived, his words sharp with reproach. "You have my father much offended." Gertrude, defensive, cried out, and Polonius echoed her from his hiding place. Thinking it Claudius, Hamlet thrust his sword through the tapestry, killing the old man. He lifted the cloth, saw Polonius's lifeless body, and said coldly, "Thou wretched, rash, intruding fool." Gertrude wept, horrified, but Hamlet pressed on, accusing her of betraying his father for a king of shreds and patches. He urged her to repent, then dragged Polonius's body away, his mind a whirl of guilt and purpose. Claudius, alarmed by Polonius's death, saw Hamlet as a threat. He sent him to England with Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, bearing sealed orders for Hamlet's execution. But Hamlet, ever cunning, suspected treachery. On the ship, he stole the letter, replaced it with one ordering his escort's deaths, and escaped when pirates attacked, returning to Denmark alone. Polonius's death shattered Ophelia. Her love for Hamlet, her father's loss, and the court's chaos drove her to madness. She wandered Elsinore, singing mournful ballads, her hair strewn with wildflowers. "He is dead and gone, lady," she sang, her eyes vacant. One day, by a willow-fringed brook, she climbed to hang garlands, slipped, and fell into the water. Her heavy gown dragged her under, and she drowned, her death a quiet tragedy. Hamlet, still at sea, knew nothing of her fate. Laertes, Polonius's fiery son, returned from France, enraged by his father's murder and sister's death. Claudius, seizing opportunity, turned Laertes against Hamlet, revealing the prince as Polonius's killer. "What would you do to him?" Claudius asked. "Cut his throat ith church," Laertes vowed. They plotted a duel, where Laertes would wield a poisoned rapier, and Claudius prepared a poisoned cup as backup. "He must not live," Claudius said, his smile masking fear. Hamlet returned to Elsinore, his spirit changed by his brush with death. In a graveyard, he found Yorick's skull, the jester who once delighted him. "Alas, poor Yorick," he said, holding the bone, "where be your jibes now?" Death, he realized, leveled all, king, fool, or prince. Seeing Ophelia's funeral procession, he learned of her death and leapt into her grave, grappling with Laertes in grief. "I loved Ophelia," he cried. 40,000 brothers could not with all their quantity of love make up my sum." Claudius arranged the duel, presenting it as sport to appease Laertes. Hamlet, sensing a trap but weary of delay, agreed. "If it be now, 'tis not to come," he said, accepting fate. The court gathered, Gertrude beaming with hope for peace. Hamlet and Laertes fenced, Hamlet scoring the first hits. Claudius offered Hamlet the poisoned cup, but he declined. Gertrude, unaware, drank from it, toasting her son. Laertes, desperate, grazed Hamlet with the poisoned blade, but in the scuffle, their rapiers switched, and Hamlet wounded Laertes. Gertrude collapsed, gasping, the drink, I am poisoned." She died, and Hamlet turned, horrified. Laertes, bleeding, confessed. The king's to blame. The foil is poisoned." Hamlet, rage overtaking him, stabbed Claudius with the tainted rapier and forced the poisoned wine down his throat. "Thou incestuous, murderous, damned Dane," he roared. Claudius fell, his breath stilled, the ghost's vengeance complete. Laertes, dying, forgave Hamlet. "Exchange forgiveness with me, noble Hamlet." He perished, and Hamlet, feeling the poison's chill, sank to the ground. Horatio, his loyal friend, wept, ready to die with him, but Hamlet stopped him. "Tell my story," he said, his voice fading. As Fortinbras, a Norwegian prince, arrived to claim Denmark, Hamlet breathed his last, whispering, "The rest is silence." Fortinbras ordered a soldier's funeral for Hamlet, honoring his courage. Horatio, heavy with sorrow, vowed to recount the tale of the prince whose mind was too vast for his world, whose delay cost lives, yet whose heart sought truth. Elsinore fell quiet, its halls stained with blood, a monument to ambition, betrayal, and the fragility of human will. Denmark endured.